Actually, I was eliminated probably like 3 shows before the finale, and in the grand finale, like I was brought back as a wild card, and I went on to win the show. So that's how I got my seed round. So I had like a 2.5 crore check. Hello everyone, welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. My name is Sujayath Ali. I am the co-founder and CEO of Voonik.com. Today I'm going to take you through the journey of how I started Voonik. I was well paid and well settled, and I was working for a corporate, and I never dreamt that I will become an entrepreneur. So I will probably talk about how I switched my mindset and how I became an entrepreneur, and how I went from scratch to today Voonik being a household name. Yeah, I think I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. So I come from a family of primarily people in government jobs. So my father was in revenue department, my uncles were in like police department, and primarily the aim for me when I was doing my schooling was to just get a job, a proper job which can give me a monthly salary, right? So that was the entire aim and dream, and I would never thought that I would be an entrepreneur. So, and I come from a small town in India. It's not like I didn't have much exposure either. So all we did was that, right? So, and then like post college, like after I finished my computer engineering, I got a stable job. I was a software engineer, and I was going through that. In couple of years, I felt an emptiness. So I thought like, hey, this is probably not something that I meant to do in my life. I had to probably like look for something else. And when I spoke with my manager and other people in the company, I was told that, hey, like here everything works based on the years of experience. I was already managing like 2 teams, like tens of people, but they said like I have to wait for 3 more years to at least get to the next level. So for me it was like, okay, no, this is not going to work out. I had to do something. Still, entrepreneurship didn't hit my head. I was thinking, let me do my MBA. So I went and did my MBA at Indian School of Business, and then I was campus hired at Amazon. And pretty much like I started in Amazon India, and then moved to Seattle, and I spent almost like 7 years there. So again there, I never dreamt to be an entrepreneur. I was very happy to be part of Amazon. I like the culture, I like the DNA. I got to work in some of the cool products that Amazon was developing. So it was pretty good. The only irritation for me was like, hey, probably whatever I did in 6 years, I could have done in like 1 year or 2 years. Just the shackles that the company puts on your creativity and the pace at which you want to do things kind of was very, very difficult for me. But it's okay. So I'm living my dream. I have stable salary. I'm saving a lot. I'm in US. So I was like, okay, so everything's fine. So why complain, right? So post that I joined Visa. I moved to the Bay Area, and during that time, like I think around 2007-8, people who worked with me in Amazon India before I left US all like went and started companies on their own. Primary one being Sachin and Binny starting Flipkart, and I kept tracking their success, and it was very, very inspiring and motivational for me that someone who worked with me, someone who I worked along, was able to go and create a $1 billion company, and in fact like challenging Amazon itself, right? So that was very inspiring. And not just them, like there were multiple I would say like almost like some 25-30 companies were created by the team of 50 people. So everyone just went ahead and started creating companies. So it was almost like I was like, hey, something else is happening here. Maybe this is the new PayPal mafia. Whoever worked in Amazon India have so much confidence and so much exposure that they're able to create companies on their own. And maybe before Flipkart or before even Amazon India, India did not experience that consumer first DNA. All the businesses were built in a typical P&L first model. And when people started working for a company like Amazon from India, they got that exposure, what it means to be consumer first DNA, what it means to work backwards from consumers. So I thought that DNA is what kind of helped so many people to create so many companies. And Flipkart was not the first e-commerce company. There were a lot of companies we started before, but the differentiation was that consumer first DNA. And I thought, yes, being part of Amazon, I too have that DNA, so maybe I should also do something. But still it didn't hit me that I had to go and do something else. Then I joined Visa, and probably I was there for a little more than a year. Again, I was heading a new product, but the pace was much slower even compared to Amazon. Like probably like something which I would expect that I will get a date in 6 days, I will be told like 6 months or something like that. So it's all about so that's when I decided, and I was in the Bay Area. I kept meeting people from Amazon or people who studied with me at ISB, who again started few companies, and they are also big and they had moved to Bay Area. So it was all like that. That's when I decided like, hey, maybe like I should give it a try. Maybe I'm not meant to just work for a stable salary. And that's when this idea of Voonik hit me. That came from my personal thing, like always like my parents and and after marriage my wife always complained about my dressing style. So she was always like, hey, why don't you dress yourself? And I would be wearing very costly ones, like it's all branded and the prices will be very high, but still it doesn't look good on me. So in US there were a lot of companies coming up on the personal styling area, like Stitch Fix, which is now public. I think probably more than or close to a couple of billion in market cap, and there were other companies like Baumfell, and I saw that Trunk Club, which was acquired by So for me, like it looked like in India, if I can take this concept to the masses through technology, which I have learned through my experience, I thought it would be great. So that's when I decided to return to India in 2013 and start Voonik. And the initial idea of Voonik, and then we have kind of not pivoted, but it has morphed into a different idea right now. But when we started, the idea was to use technology and provide personal styling for masses. And obviously, I cannot do it by using real world stylists because it will be too expensive. So I have to kind of create a virtual stylist from that learnings. So that's when I returned to India in 2013. I co-founded this with my undergrad classmate Navneet. Now I have been pretty much a corporate guy. Navneet was pretty much fully startup guy. So he again, we graduated in 2001. So he joined Zoho, which probably is now like worth multi-billion dollars, and he joined when it was a small garage stage startup. Post that he worked at another company called Aryaka, where he was the first engineer. Then he was one of the first engineers at Freshdesk, which is again like now a unicorn. So he has seen at least 2 companies go from a small garage to multi-billion dollars. So for him, like he was also looking to create a story on his own. So now I and Navneet quit our jobs, and we got couple more, two more of our friends, again our college mates, and we just started developing. So we started developing a proof of concept. It still didn't use machine learning and all that jazz, but it was actually like a stylist sitting in the back, and she was acting as if it's a machine, and she was making the recommendation. So for us, it was a proof of concept to test the idea: is customers going to warm up to this? And then we thought like we can develop the machine learning and other part of the system to automate this personal styling. That's when I participated in a television show. It was called as a Bloomberg Pitch. You can think of it as a reality show for entrepreneurs, like Shark Tank, except that it's like it's a 10-week program where every week one entrepreneur will be eliminated. So it starts with 10 entrepreneurs, and every week they give a task, and it's all live, right? So the whole nation is watching you. You are given entrepreneurial tasks, like it would be based on sales or creativity or product development. Every week they focus on one skill set, and one of them will be eliminated, right? So I participated in that show, in that Bloomberg Pitch. So, and whoever wins will get 2.5 crores or 400K of seed money. That was the prize money. And given that I had just come back from US, I didn't have any contacts. I knew zero VCs. I didn't understand this VC world, and I am a corporate guy. I have no exposure to that. So how can I raise funding, right? So I was also looking for it. This looked like a good opportunity for me. Even if not funding, at least a visibility that people who sees the show will probably know me. Actually, I was eliminated probably like 3 shows before the finale, and in the grand finale, like I was brought back as a wild card, and I went on to win the show. So that's how I got my seed round. So I had like a 2.5 crore check with me, and I think by the time money came, it was around like Feb 2014. So it was probably a year after we started exactly. And the money that I and Navneet had between lasted for a year. We had planned for a year, so it was perfect timing. So by the time it was running out, we got our seed round. So with that, like we said, okay, now let's go and develop the actual system. So I went and started developing the system. The other way how Voonik worked was we were never a true marketplace. We were an affiliate. So we will recommend items from Myntra, Jabong, etc., Snapdeal, etc. But we developed a technology where people can buy them in one click. You are not redirected. You can buy a top from Jabong, bottom from Snapdeal in one click, and it will be delivered to you. Buy them, but everything is like under the hoods. Like it's a smooth customer experience. I think now in US companies are coming based on the technology called Universal Car, but we developed it back then. So that's how we were an affiliate, and by end of 2014 we launched our app. Till that we were a desktop based company. So mobile smartphone sales were picking up, and app adoption was picking up, and I think we were very lucky that when we launched it around like September 2014, our app got great traction, and it had us reevaluate a lot of things. Among them, first we decided to focus only on women. We thought like women are taking up this lot, and women particularly didn't like people recommending stuff to them. Women always feel like they are good at picking stuff, so they don't need others' recommendation, but they wanted the collection and the pricing which Voonik was providing. So we wanted to focus more on the selection and price rather than the styling part. So styling took a backseat. Third, the most important distinction was we saw that 75% of the adoption was from tier 2 and tier 3 cities. So we were looking at what's happening there. So what we figured out was, for fashion forward, metro centric urban people, there were companies like Myntra, Jabong, which is built from the ground up for fashion, where people can go and buy. But if you don't want to buy brands, if you're looking for a 500 rupee shoe or a 600 rupee kurti or a sari, there's no other option. So they had to go to horizontals like Amazon or Flipkart and buy, which is not a great experience. And that was already proven by a company like Myntra. So to buy fashion, you need a fashion first company. So we thought like, what if you can be the Myntra for tier 2 and tier 3 people? And we said like, after then we can become our own marketplace. So with that thesis, we were able to secure our Series A from Sequoia, and it was like $6.5 million. So exactly like a year from our start, we got our seed round in Feb 2014, and a year from our seed round, Feb 2015, we had the Series A check from Sequoia, and our concept was working. People were downloading our app, and we completely started focusing on the app. We forgot about desktop, and we were the Myntra for tier 2 and tier 3 people. And even the Myntra founder Mukesh Bansal invested in us, the angel round. So I think at that point we thought like, now there's no looking back. So after our Series B, things were going pretty good. We raised 20 million Series B a year after our Series A. So we did a nationwide media campaign. We were on the front page of Times of India. Like we hired Bollywood celebrity, and we were doing TV ads. It was all going very well, and almost like from the time we got our Series A and September 2016, we had grown like 65 times. So it was like hyper growth, and accordingly our burn was also growing. Like we were like growing in all aspects, and so we never focused on the burn part. Our assumption was, hey, we have been raising money every year, so it's not going to be difficult for us to raise the Series C, and we should be continuing to grow, and that was our idea. So at the peak we were almost doing like 65 crores, and our goal was to hit 100 crores in monthly sales, and we looked well set to do all of that. But around the end of 2016, market turned, market became tough, primarily for e-commerce. Even the leader like Flipkart had trouble, Snapdeal had lots of trouble, like shop closed, like the entire e-commerce was bloodbath. Every investor said they don't want to touch any e-commerce company, and specifically fashion e-commerce companies. So, and almost every VC that I knew had burned their fingers investing in a fashion commerce company. So truth was staring at us like that's we cannot burn like this. There's no money. We failed to raise Series C, and it was a hard truth to accept. We, a high-flying company, are unable to raise that, and we don't know when the market would come back, when we would be able to raise again, if at all we can, and we have to survive till then. First, would we be alive till then? So our priorities had to change. Initially, like we just tried to cut the burn by half, cut the scale, and probably like it took like probably 6-8 months for us to realize those kind of incremental measures are not going to be enough. We need to take some hard measures. So post that, like we just said, like no, it looks like market is not coming back, and sentiments are not going to change unless something drastic happens. And what kind of drastic things that can you show? Like we have shown like growth like 65 times, and we have shown scale like almost $10 million a month, and that has not excited investors. So we thought like the only thing that, forget about investors, the only thing that can excite and make us sustainable is to stand on our own, to become profitable. And at that time, like it looked very difficult because there was no single e-commerce company which was profitable in India, and even all over the world there are very, very few exceptions. E-commerce companies were bleeding money, and we were very worried because even in US, a lot of e-commerce companies which achieved like unicorn status like Fab and so many companies again like shut up because of that high burn. We didn't want to be that. So we said like things are going to be different. Let's start focusing on the profitability, on the bottom line. Let's forget about top line, right? So we kept the top line like probably like stable for entire 2018, and we just focused on reducing the burn and reducing the costs and improving the efficiency, and that was kind of we became a very different company. Suddenly, like all the people who joined for the high growth, different kind of projects kind of left, and we had to probably hire people who come from a different background, who have worked in traditional Indian companies where the focus is on the bottom line, and we had to change the company's DNA. Right? It's personally difficult for me, given that we had to become operationally sufficient, that I have to generate money to pay for my vendors. I have to generate money to pay the salary. It's not coming from a VC's pocket. And when I began that journey, I was not even sure if that's possible because I don't have a role model to follow that. Like I can look at Flipkart and say I can become that, and but there's no profitable e-commerce company which I can say, though, let me go and emulate them, right? So I had to find my own ways of doing that. I know that I'm going to make a lot of mistakes, but there was no margin of error. So it was very difficult, probably 2018, but happy to say that most of 2018 we were profitable at a monthly level, and financially, like in FY19, still we have a month to go on audit to be complete, but mostly we think we should be able to become net profitable. So yeah, it was a very interesting journey. So you saw that how I, who never dreamt that I will be an entrepreneur, stable with a corporate job with good salary, decided to take the plunge, go through that, join a television program, get my seed round, getting Series A from a well-known VC like Sequoia, and going from a high-growth startup into a profitable startup. So you have heard everything. So hopefully, like it inspires at least a few of you to start your own journey. So if you like it, share it with your friends or colleagues, whoever you think will be inspired by this. You can like or follow this channel, and if you have any question for me, feel free to leave it in the comment, and I would be getting back to you. Anyway, yeah, thanks a lot for hearing my story.